you start these things, so
I know I always start these. And all right. Well, what are we at? Episode 3 now? So episode
we
3.
are on 3.
Are we? Okay, so episode 3. This is episode 3 of the Modern Boomer. Hey guys, welcome.
Welcome.
Thanks for coming back or listening or having road rage alongside us, whatever you're doing. We got a couple fun topics today. Actually, we got quite a few topics. We're going to try to compact these episodes because they are getting a little long. And I know a lot of people listen when they're driving or at work, and sometimes that's great. So let us know if you want it longer, if you want it shorter, maybe cut in pieces. You know, we're in that kind of infant stage.
Right. Let me give a shout out to my friend Steven, who actually messaged me yesterday demanding the next episode of the Modern Boomer podcast. He was like, when's the next podcast? He was also the guy, however, who, when he saw the second podcast, he's like, 2 hours. Well, but luckily he has a long drive to and back from work, so he listened to the whole thing, and he listens to it on Apple Podcasts. By the way, he does not watch it on YouTube. He listens on Apple Podcasts, and he's like, "This is great. It gives me something to listen to.
Yeah.
Some of the computer stuff is sometimes over my head, but I like the gaming." He liked the discussion about the war.
Yeah,
he had a good time. So he sent me some messages. I felt pretty excited about it.
Yeah, well, Steven, as our biggest fan at the moment, outside of some randos.
Our moms.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Any criticism is great criticism, critical or not.
That's right.
But yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting. It's rare that you get such an organic friend to be like, hey, so I listened to your, amateur podcast. Here's my opinion,
Right. And it was positive.
It was positive, yeah. I mean, that's more than I could expect from the internet. So
we'll take it, right?
Yeah, I'll take it. Absolutely,
yes. We're protected by the bubble of friendship versus the harsh reality of the anonymity of the internet will come and stomp us into the ground.
Yeah. That's really cool. Well, thank you, Stephen, for watching us. That's awesome. That's actually
cheers to Stephen.
Yeah, cheers. And that actually goes into our next segue here, supposedly.
Right. So what do you got there?
So we decided to drink a little. So this is bourbon. I wrote whiskey down in my little schedule here because I've had a couple concussions and I can barely remember what I had for breakfast or where I live. So this is Breckenridge bourbon from here, actually, in Colorado. It's not super expensive. You can buy a metric ton of it for fairly cheap. And my father-in-law actually is the one who got me in on it. He bought some for Christmas. He bought a little gallon of it. And I was like, there's no way this giant gallon glass of bourbon is going to be, you know what I mean? Because, or Oban or, Glenlivet, nobody buys, you can't buy that in a gallon. Then I popped it and I put on a cube and let it sit for a second, drank it, and I love it. It's fantastic. It's a great bourbon for the price. I don't have the price off the top of my head, but I would say it's probably 2/3 or a third the cost of, a Glenlivet or Fittich or something. It's fairly cheap in that kind of, your brown liquors area. So what about you though? What you got?
That's funny because I joined a Facebook group called I forget it's a bourbon Facebook group.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you about what I'm going to do in June, most likely in a minute. But I have seen more posts about Breckenridge bourbon, and the first time I heard you talk about Breckenridge bourbon, is when we did our Elden Ring video. And you you just plugged Breckenridge right at the end.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And I'm I've never been to Colorado. I don't know Breckenridge bourbon. But then I see, I'm having Breckenridge. It's pretty good. Oh, me too. I had it too. And my father just got me Breckenridge bourbon. And it's like, wow, look at that.
Yeah. I think for the price, you can't beat it. That's the thing is I feel like, people always associate higher price with better quality. And for most cases, that's true. But this one's fairly well priced, and you can get a ton of it. Not that I'm a heavy drinker, but it doesn't take much to go through a bottle of good whiskey these days. You know what I mean?
Right.
With all our modern problems and gas prices
in these times.
These hard times.
Yeah. When they say that whiskey is cheaper than gas.
Yeah, it is. It is. If you have the right engine, you could use it for fuel. So.
Right. So I'm drinking Laphroaig, 10-year, which is
that's good stuff.
Which is a Scotch, and it's my wife and I went down and we were in the city and we went to a place called the Brandy Library, and it's not brandy. It's basically, brown liquor. It's going to be bourbon, scotches, brandies.
I gotcha.
Maybe some cognacs. I mean, you can get it. It's a full bar, but I mean,
Right.
the walls of the place are just lined.
Right.
All 4 walls are just lined
Costco
with different whiskeys.
Of brown liquors.
But it's a bar. It's not where you can't buy it. So you basically, we had she had we like smokier whiskeys.
I do too.
So she had my wife got the like the smoky flight. So it was like 6 or 8.
Do you know what was in that?
Different. Not all of them.
Any Highland Park?
Not that I remember.
Okay.
No, there was Laphroaig. There was
Bowmore, Benriach, the Smoky 10.
We tend to drink our staple is Johnny Walker Black because it's a cheaper whiskey. It's a smoky whiskey because of the black. And then we'll get that's horrible. I'm completely. It's probably because
it'll come to you like 2 a.m.
Because I'm drinking this. Yeah. I'll wake up and I'll be like, damn it, it was this. But I'll get the list. Maybe I'll put the list in the show notes. But it's very good if you like smokier whiskeys.
I do.
And you want to do. I understand you told me that you eventually want to do a little video on some whiskey tasting or some bourbon.
Yeah. So
in the future, right?
I know. Yeah, I do actually. So I thought first, because we were pretty good hop away from each other. I thought first we could do something like this, and I would buy a couple different ones. We could talk about what we're getting, maybe get some, because I always like Monkey Shoulder, and I know you do too. So get some shared ones. But then I thought I'd go and pick, without saying anything, we'd go pick some and we see what we bring back. If there's anything that we have matching, if anything we don't have matching, then kind of talk about them. I do like smoky whiskeys. I always, I used to tell my friends, I'm like, listen, if you can't smoke cigars in your house, get like a black Highlands Park. That way you can get all the flavor of cigars without stinking up the house. You know what I mean? So
right.
Yeah, we'll have to get. Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
I remember 2 of them. Ardbeg. Ardbeg is a very peaty, smoky Scotch. We like the 10 better than the 5, but the Wee Beastie 5 is pretty good.
Okay.
And then the other one is Lagavulin 16.
Okay.
And that's a pretty pricey bottle. But they also make, I think it's a 9-year that is actually finished in Guinness casks, which is actually really, really good. It's tough to find. I found it like at a store really easy, and then I wanted it again. I could never find it.
Yeah, that's how that works.
But if we do the video, I mean, we got to do it. We got to do the smell. We got to do the color. You got to do the taste on the front of the tongue, and then the finish.
We'll have to do that fancy stuff where you swirl it and you look at the lines on the glass. And
right.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that goes, and then
unlike wine, we drink it
of ourselves. Yeah.
So
we'll hopefully we won't just love the $15.99 bottle of whiskeys, but you never know.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to pay to play. You know what I mean? That's for sure, especially when it comes to good Scotch.
Right. But before we go on,
yes.
I plan in June.
Okay.
I think I'm going to hit the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky.
Oh.
So my buddy has a second home, which he has in West Virginia, which is literally exactly halfway.
Okay.
Between Bourbon Trail and my house.
Okay.
So he wants to go too. So I think we're going to leave on a Saturday. Okay. We're going to drive out to his house. We're going to go to a brewery out there, do a little, fire pit and cook outside.
That sounds fun.
And then we're going to hop in the car the next morning and we're just going to hit like Woodford Reserve. We're going to hit.
I love Woodford Reserve.
Four Roses. We're going to hit Maker's Mark. We're going to hit all these different
Maker's Mark
bourbons.
makes me think of the younger years. Yep, I gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that I'll probably do a video on that. Who knows by the time it comes? But that's set for the end of June. So
that's exciting.
That'll happen.
Yeah, I love.
A million things can get in the way of it, but hopefully.
Yeah, well, life is really good at fucking shit up. Excuse my language.
It is. It is.
But yeah, no, I love Maker's Mark. It's when poor college kids want to act classy. That's what you get with Maker's Mark.
You dip the bottle in the wax.
Yeah, that's how you know it's classy. It's got wax on it, so you're regal at that point.
Right.
Yeah, that's exciting. Please make a video on that. I watched that. I watched the Nashville one. So I will definitely watch that one since I don't go on vacations enough.
Right.
So we got.
So you wanted to talk. You wanted to talk a little bit about the Apple stuff. You had some other thoughts, right?
Yeah. So after our last podcast, I briefly got online and I was doing some research on the Ultra chip because, Doc here brought it up to me kind of right before the podcast, and I had told him I'd do research the day before, but like life and work, I completely forgot. And I briefly looked at it before, and I was looking at all of Apple stats, and at the surface level, they looked really good. And, I had some arguing points about architectural discrepancies between them, and I tried to simplify it, and it didn't come out well, so I apologize for all the computer guys who may have been listening and were like, this guy's an idiot. I know sometimes it's hard to translate the technical stuff down, so I apologize. It wasn't totally accurate, but it got the point across. But I dug a little deeper, and shout out to Linus, other than I don't like most of your content, but I do like you as a person. He kind of went through it, and he was right, because a lot of the stuff they're referenced again is like Intel's new performance cores with their efficiency cores, and they were referencing lower clock processors, and they were referencing things all boost, and there's a lot of stuff that they were referencing that gave them a heads up, a bonus in some say, you know what I mean? And so you tell on the architecture and stuff, and it's like I'm not minimizing the power of the Ultra chip for you Mac guys who will send me death letters. It is powerful, and it's a huge step in the technological step for us in the computing world with the art.
A couple
ARM stuff.
A couple of the people who do like heavy Apple vlogging, they had like $19,000 Mac Pros. The one that looks like the cheese grater. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah, I love that case, by the way.
You can go, yeah, I know, it's great, right? You can go anywhere from like $6,000 to like $20-some thousand for that. And they literally got rid of them for Mac Studios. I
believe it. And I wanted to just emphasize that, like, the ARM architecture has a lot less going on, an overhead aspect. I'm going to step up the technical stuff here. So sorry, guys, if you're not a computer guy, if you're a computer guy, it's great. Because x86 or whatever you want to call it, our traditional architecture that most computers run off. And when I say architecture, for those, I mean how they design the chips, how we talk to the chips, how the chips work. Think about like a house, no different than house architecture, where the rooms are, the bathrooms, the plumbing, etc. Right? So the architecture on x86 is old. It's very old. It's been around ever since the 8086, right? That's kind of where x86 comes from. And as we progress, they've added new functionalities to CPUs, and to keep backwards compatibility, they wrap a lot of this stuff in what we call opcode. It's basically operation software at the hardware level that conjoins or minimizes or whatever it needs to do to make things backwards compatible, forwards compatible, and kind of conjoin a lot of these abundant and redundant pieces of CPU functionality. That overhead is very minimal, obviously, because you play things like I don't know if you played Cyberpunk, but that's or Counter-Strike, all of these CPU intensive games, but ARM doesn't have that much under the hood like that because it's so fresh. And again, that's where the reduced part comes from. Risk, reduced instruction set computing. That helps. That helps a lot. That helps a ton. I think that there's a fair comparison in the aspect that they're testing new architecture, and of course it's gonna be better, and that shouldn't be minimized. Sorry, the Breckenridge, getting that second
it's welling up
there. Yeah. But in return, if you're trying to sell this to a lot of people, you have to try to make it in correlation to what people are used to. You know what I mean? If you're selling a sports car and somebody tries to buy Bugatti, you can say V12 all day. Sure, that's great. But what is that reference to a Corvette? You know what I mean? Like what people actually drive. Most people don't get the chance to drive Ducati. So I think it's fantastic. It's great. I think that low power is cool. So I kind of stand by what I said, but I also think that Apple, as usual, they're not extending the truth, but they're playing the word game, and social media drives off of that. So,
right.
I think it's good for what it does. I think it's not as great as they're trying to make it out to be. That was my edit, and it took a little longer than I wanted to. Sorry for the explain like 5 science software architecture.
Hey, man, that's no sweat. I think that it's I totally agree. Apple's done that for many years. Being an Apple fan, you've seen, we talked about it last show where like Apple will talk about like the the throttling data for some of their hardware. Now you don't really have the throttling problem as much as you do with these, because these are lower heat.
The cooling on those is nuts, by the way.
I know.
Yeah, I was blown away by it.
They said if you get the M1, I forget the name of them. There's the M1 Max in there, right? And that's what's in the highest generation. You're right. The highest generation MacBook Pro has that, and the M1 Ultra. Like it's the same physical footprint, right? It's the same
Right.
box.
Yeah.
I think it's like 2 pounds heavier.
Yeah,
on the Ultra.
The cooling's like they cool the front and the back, which is something you don't see in like my computer here, which has got like an AIO in it or whatever. And some point I plan to do a video on it, but they really go out of the ballpark to do it, to really keep that chip cool and it's pretty low power compared to my 10900X in here, which is screaming at 300 watt CPU, whatever ridiculous amount of power it can pull. I don't know if it's that high. I might have been exaggerating there, but they done a good job on that. The only thing I want to kind of bitch about is the drive space. So at first it looked like when people were popping open, it looked like there was an expansion slot where they could just put a new drive bay, like a new drive device, whatever Apple's proprietary.
Another SSD.
But it's not. It's just the memory modules on a breakout board, and that the controller itself has to be aware and the firmware has to match. So you can't just put new ones in. It doesn't work that way because it's literally just memory modules. There's no intelligence, no independent piece of memory like SSD or RAM. It's just the modules. The controller that does all that normally is on the RAM or whatever, or on your SSD is on the board, and it's specific to whatever the firmware. So like it takes some abuse to get it to work. Some guys can't, some guys can, but that's Apple. The kings of proprietary. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it did say on their website though that it's not memory upgradable, and then people found that slot and they're like, I can upgrade this.
Yeah, I don't know what they added that for. I'm sure people, and you know what? There's going to be some software engineer out there who is going to manipulate the dog water out of that, or computer engineer who's going to hack through all that stuff, and what's not upgradable will be upgradable. So, but yeah, so that's all I got for the chip. So if you guys buy it, it should be good. If you don't worry about it.
Yeah, and you love that. You're still going to buy the monitor, even though the cable is. You need a tool to take the cable out of it.
So, whenever you buy a monitor in today's standards, you expect the power cable comes out, like, you know what I mean? Especially in a $1,000 monitor like that. Now, I've always wanted Apple monitors, and as not an Apple fan, my wonderful wife is our diehard Apple fan, and that's why we have Apple. And I have like 3 HomePods and 2 Apple TVs. Like I have Apple all over my house, no matter what. However, I do love their phones. I love that MagSafe stuff. Fantastic. Great idea. I'll give Apple that. Right. And I like the blue text and simplicity, but I digress. The monitor cable, really, Apple? You're going to glue a cable in? And why? I don't get it.
I don't know.
I don't get why. I don't know if it's like a middle finger or if they're trying to reduce costs. But shout out to Linus again for just ripping that bitch out, because most people don't have the balls to tug on their $1,000 Apple monitor cable, see if it'll remove. I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm by no means a broke man, but $1,000 is not something you just pee on and hope the cable comes out. That's crazy. So Apple, I don't know what the hell you're doing, but stop. It's $1,000 monitor. I don't know who the hell you're fooling. Make the cable removable.
I can't even remember the last time they made any kind of device that had a screen on it where the cable didn't come out of the back. I mean,
I don't know why they did that.
They're all MagSafe. I mean, you just pop them out and they're magnetically clicked in and they come out, and all of a sudden they just make a monitor that doesn't have that.
I've always had a passion in design engineering, which is like engineers to do like product development. Like the guy who made Dyson. He's a designer engineer. He designs. There's a lot of actual crazy intelligent stuff and policies that go into making the best product for the least cost. And I, in the life of me, and somebody who really evaluates value to like, if you buy something cheap, expect it to suck, right? I'm that guy. I don't get why. I don't get the design decision behind it, if they're saving money or not. Maybe because the cable itself doesn't seat all the way, or it seats loosely or something. I'm sure we'll know. But I mean, to glue it, I feel like all the glue on 1 million monitor units would be an expensive attachment rather than letting it come out, or maybe it was something that we're reusing something. I don't know. I've yet to figure it out. But you can remove it, but be careful. You got to tug on it. There was a video online that has this tool, and it was I don't know if this was a joke or what, but it was like this big barrel, and they had to wrap the cord around it, and you had to like tighten it. And I guess that's what slowly just added more pressure to the back of the monitor to yank the thing out. Or just tech tips it and just grab it and just
just
pull
put
it like
your
a
foot
lawnmower
on the back of the monitor and yank it.
Act like it owes you money, you know what I mean? And it came right out. And when it came out too, it looked like a normal plug. So I was like, You know what I mean?
That's
I was waiting for like frayed cables or some weird mess of plastic, and it's just a plug. So I don't know. What are you doing, Apple? Get your shit togetting. That's crazy.
Right.
However, on a company that's actually turning some things around, because Intel has been shit in the bed, for lack of better words, this last couple of years. The new Arc GPUs are coming. Have you heard of those? Do you have any understanding what those are?
I have a little bit. I mean, right now they're using their Iris Xe, and this is their first foray into
Intel HD graphics.
Right. I mean, that was on CPU graphics. So this is now actually a separate chip. Yes. And right now I know it's only in motherboards, or I mean only in laptops rather.
Laptops, mobile, yeah.
And have you watched any of the data? I mean, there's one place by the name of there's one guy who posted a video online. I think I put it up there. It was putting a 1650 versus
the mobile,
the
right.
Arc 370.
Right. Yeah, and so I know it didn't perform as well. It got stomped about 10 FPS, and for you guys who don't play games, that's a pretty good amount. That's a significant difference in between something that feels comfortable and something that doesn't feel comfortable. However, this is Intel's first GPU and their first set of drivers, so let's give them time to get it figured out. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that the GPU drivers rob you of a significant performance. If we were perfect engineers in the world and we could solve that problem, you're not really getting 100% of your GPU's power with drivers. You can, and maybe in NVIDIA's case, 90%, maybe high 80s. And I say that slightly uneducated on how video drivers are written, but just from my understanding. Right. And I'm assuming Intel's probably not at that high peak because their drivers are so fresh. So I bet you with some driver revisions, helping the computers communicate with the card and managing memory and all things they're doing, we'll see a lot. But it still did. I mean, come on, for Intel's first actual gaming graphics card, it did pretty damn well. And the application they had, it was almost scary how minimal it was. But I guess if you think about it, that stuff may not be as necessary in modern gaming, like the old NVIDIA control panel and stuff that dates back as long as I can remember. Back when I played 1.6, I remember the NVIDIA control panel or whatever janky variation of it. But what I want to stay on is even though the mobile's not doing great, there's a lot of hype for the Alchemist one that's coming out. I can't remember the name of the enthusiast one. So there's a guy, they were kind of talking about it. They showed some stats. They talked about the lowest clock speeds of about 1.5 gigahertz, but they hinted at that it can hit over 2 gigahertz clock speed, which is nuts, which is cheeching for a graphics card. In addition to that, it has a huge 512 lane memory bus. And for guys who, again, non-computer guys, the bigger the freeway, the more cars you can handle. Same with data. So, most cars are anywhere between 128, 200 and whatever. I don't know. I can't do the math. I know it sounds stupid, but the high clock speed. And then the guy that was the Intel guy that was doing this Skype interview, whatever they're doing, he kind of showed just part of the PCB, and they had 3 6-pin connectors. So that tells me, and that's nothing like the samples pictures we saw, or what's the law about computer growth? How it is exponential. There's a word for. There's a guy who, that's his name. I feel stupid now. I should have looked it up. There's a guy on YouTube who's all about computer tech leaks. He's like accurate most of the time. 90% of the time he's on point. He had some engineering examples of what this Arc GPU was supposed to look like, and it was not the brief what we saw. So I have a hard feeling that if that clock actually hits 2 gigahertz or higher, I could expect that thing, if it's built well and they get the drivers together, I would make a guess that it would probably perform as a 3090 or better. Because that tells me that's pulling a lot of juice. And a lot of juice usually means a lot of power. 3 6-pin connectors.
That's huge.
Yeah. That's huge. Because I got a 3080 in here right now, the Asus Strix OC version, and it only takes 2. You know what I mean? And 2 6-pins. I don't know. It's I think it's 6, right? Because you only have 6.
Is it 6?
Or no, I'm sorry.
Is it 6?
It's 3 8-pins. It's 3 8-pins. It's 4 on the top, 4 on the bottom. So sorry, I'm dumb. The Intel GPU that they showed had 3 8-pin connectors.
Wow.
And like I said, this 3080 relevant. I have in here, with the OC, this thing pulls a ton of power. I mean, I've seen this thing hit 350 watts pull easy with those. I mean, I have an OC, but
right.
Yeah.
You're gonna need a new power supply.
I don't know. I got 1200 in this puppy, so if you hit 1200, then I need to consider my power bill at that point.
That's what I have.
1200. Yeah, I bought it.
Corsair 1200i.
Yeah. I have the same. I have the same thing. So, but yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited for that. I'm gonna buy it. People are like, "Well, I'm gonna wait," but I'm gonna buy it. And for you guys who may not be hardware fanatics, don't spend your money on it just yet. Wait for them to develop. But if you're an diehard Intel fanboy like I am, despite its flaws, I've always been an Intel guy. Sorry, AMD, I don't like you. Ever since you ruined ATI, I will buy that card, even if it sits on a damn shelf in the back as a prop, because Intel making a discrete card that can run high-end games is something I never thought would happen. And I've been running Intel for God as long as I can remember. I'm 30 now. Right. I think every processor I've had has been Intel except for 2 times. I had the AMD in that fucking compact and the Phenom in a gaming computer at some point in my life. So
yeah,
maybe
I never had anything but an Intel processor. I've never had an AMD graphics card. I had ATI back before they merged with AMD.
I was a diehard ATI fanboy. Diehard.
Yeah.
I had a flag, shit like that. I mean, I loved ATI.
Let me ask you a question. These laptop art cards.
Okay.
Are they supposed to replace Iris?
Yes. So
Iris is basically dead. Iris is going. So that I think is a big point, because now you're taking like consumer-based business or work laptops that could never even start a game. Right. And even the higher end laptops will have, like the Surface I have, like the Surface Pro 8, like that has Iris.
Right.
And I can launch a couple of games. It's horrible, but I can launch a couple.
I played Galaxies on my Iris on my work laptop. Right. Just from like 03. But I mean,
right. But now you're basically saying we're going to throw the equivalent of a 1650 base.
Right.
And every computer we have, or no, it's probably not going to be every computer we have, but in a significant amount of computers that wouldn't have normally a dedicated GPU from NVIDIA or ATI or AMD.
Well, right. And I think, they may not kill Iris. I know the HD graphics are definitely dead. That's definitely going away. Because I know the 12th gen sells a bunch of Iris integrated GPUs on the CPUs, which Intel, stop that shit, man. Nobody really uses that anymore. And you're taking die space. But again, I'm not a processor. I'm not a microchip architect, which I wish I was. I'd make more money. But I'm interested to see what that looks like. I have a feeling they're going to replace Iris, because why would Intel take fab space for something that people don't even like, that can barely run a 4K movie, put something on that can run a 4K movie, and with the technology they have, and Intel having the power play that they have, they're pulling a lot of weight out of TSMC, and they're building their own fabs for it. So like, I don't know. I don't know. I would expect it to die, and I expect you to get the lower arc on the CPUs now, which gives people, you can play Fortnite, you can play Minecraft. Great. How do you process is fantastic.
I think that every computer should be able to do like a little bit of entertainment stuff, and it's not just movies, it's not just music.
Leave it to the consumer.
Computer gaming is not the realm of children anymore, and we're proof positive of that, right? So right now, I mean, the gaming industry, I think, is still a bigger money-making industry than the movie industry. And music, actually. Right. So think about that. So think about how important that is. So if you have any laptop that you pick up, if you have any laptop you can buy and you can maybe like play a couple things, why not? I mean, that's a win-win. I agree. Yeah, because and I think the other thing too, and I'm gonna say this from my software engineering experience, that as operating systems develop, as all this UI stuff develops, you're gonna need a little more, graphics computing power, and upcoming computers, because, I mean, you gotta think like Discord and all these applications, they do a lot of, they really do hook in and do quite a bit of graphics these days. Modern video messaging, people got 4K cameras and stuff, like that's a lot to process and encode, right, and things like that. And sure, you can encode on your CPU, but if you could offload that, I mean, there's a lot of efficiency to have there. So I have a feeling that that's the plausibility. It would make sense, and price wise too, because that way you're not having to manage 3 different
lines of, you have to make the CPU lithography, you have to do the iris lithography, you have to do, this and this. So I don't know. I would assume so. But I'm really excited for that. I will buy that, and when it does come out, which I'm expecting in this year, I will do a video on it. I'm going to yank this 3080 out of my computer like it broke up with me and had an affair with somebody else. I'm going to put that Intel card in there, and we're going to do some hard tests. You know what I mean?
You do head to head, man.
Yeah, beat it up with some Tarkov, beat it up with some Cyberpunk, Elden Ring, which ran like crap on my 3080, which blew my mind. So I know
you're gonna run Cyberpunk and see how many FPS you get when your body is halfway in the street.
I know.
At the waist.
They fixed a ton of that.
I know they did.
That game looks so real I had two 10, and I'm sorry I'm diverting here, but I had two 1070 Ti's and SLI, and before they went to DirectX 12, I could run in SLI, and I could play the game at Ultra at about 60 to 70 FPS.
You
give
bought
or
it.
take it. I did. I was all about it because I got an SLI because I couldn't buy a 3000 series card. It was like impossible unless I wanted to rob somebody, which was tempting at points. It's a joke, but I wanted a card pretty bad. And then they went to DirectX 12, and it wouldn't work in SLI. And when I mean that, I tried everything to the point where I was writing hacks, manipulating drivers, configurations, whatever I get to get it to work. You can't change the game's development. And after enough dedication and review, DirectX 12 requires the game designer, to make SLI work. Well, NVIDIA killed that stuff a while ago with NVLink, which you only get on 3090s. So I couldn't do it without rewriting a chunk of Cyberpunk. And I'm sorry, I have a full-time job, and it's not going to happen. It's just impossible, and I don't get paid enough to do that. So, and it's above my knowledge, to be honest. So, it sucked when I got to 3080 though. So I had the 3070 Ti first. That could play the game on max graphics with DLSS quality at about 60 to 80 FPS. I got the 3080, which has about a 5% OC on it, give or take, because I don't want it to catch on fire and burn my apartment down. I can get anywhere between 70 and 90 FPS in Cyberpunk. But, it took a lot of tuning and things like that. So I'd love to see what Intel can do with theirs. I'm excited for that. They're a little behind the curve.
That'd be a great headset.
PCI 5, I think, is what it is now. PCIe 5. They have some things that are behind, like a lower HDMI port version and stuff like that, because it's been in development for so long. So for all you Intel guys, this first one coming out, it's just for the fanboys and people who really want to get into the gaming market for cheaper, because it's gonna be cheaper. But the next revision, I bet you it's gonna come up there, and it's gonna be swinging fists. So
and it's this fall, right?
So the first, the Arc Alchemist ones are coming out at the end of this year. I don't know when the next setups will be. I would assume that Intel will probably have something the following year. I'm waiting for Intel's 12th gen enthusiast processors to come out, because I have an i9 10900X, and when the next 12th gen enthusiast processors come out, because I need that stuff for work, I'm going to give this to the old lady, and then I'm going to give her computer to her brother, because when he's done with medical school, he's going to want to play some video games. I can just tell already.
And that's going to be a different socket, right? So you're going to have to probably get a new motherboard with that.
Which I'm excited for. I always love new motherboards. I like to smell them out of the box. Don't judge me. It's new technology. So even though it smells like Taiwan. Oh yeah, Taiwan. So I'm excited for that though. And I will do a review when that stuff finally comes out, then whatever that chip is, because I'm not getting rid of my quad memory RAM. I'm sorry. I love the look of it. I'm not giving that up. So when that comes out, we'll do a review. We'll do some benchmarks. I'm excited for it.
Cool. I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah. What we got next? What are you talking about? Oh, this is all you, because I never really played WoW. I'm a huge Blizzard guy. I loved Blizzard as long as I can remember. Warcraft, RTS, Diablo. I played WoW for 6 seconds with Mikey back in the day with Zenobia. What was her name? I can't remember her name. Played with her, and that was it. For like a minute. They nerfed paladins by the time I played, and that's what I lost interest. I always wanted to be a pally, and Blizzard decided to just step on pallies, and Death Knights were the thing. But I have no WoW knowledge. So
no, it wasn't really anything other than the fact that we can just bring up the fact that WoW was going under more new upgrades. I mean, that's got to be the longest. That's got to be the longest MMO ever, right? I mean, when did WoW come out? I mean, WoW had to come out around
other than RuneScape,
somewhere around 2000.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
I think RuneScape. I mean, RuneScape might have came out at the same time.
You got a 22-year-old MMO.
Yeah.
I mean, that's freaking crazy. No, they were just releasing that they were going to be updating. I know there's some updates with Blizzard this month, and I can't remember. One of them is about
Blizzard.
Blizzard in general.
Yeah.
And then one of them is about World of Warcraft in particular, and that's supposed to come out later this month. I don't know much about it other than there's going to be multiple versions. Apparently, people have already taken apart some code and find some hints about what the expansion pack may be, because as they're updating the patches, they're like throwing some of the base work down for the new update. I don't know what it's going to be. I haven't played WoW in many years.
We should play.
I don't know, man.
If you get divorced, I get divorced. We could at least be roommates at that point.
Remember the World of Warcraft widow? Remember that?
Yeah.
Just like
you're a grown man now. You can regulate it. Hopefully.
If I have my ARC processor, I don't need to bring my whole freaking CPU unit with me. I can just bring a laptop and we're good.
Your wife's like, we're on vacation, but I got dungeons. I got raids, babe. I got raids.
Right.
That's exciting.
That's exactly why I bought that
the tablet.
Asus Z13 Flow gaming tablet. Check out
jealous.
That video.
Yes, please.
On my page, if you haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
That you know what? I will
page.
I will never do that again.
Why?
Let me just tell you something. That video.
You edited it for days. I remember that
video. We started this podcast because we wanted to do something that we found interesting that didn't feel like work.
Right. That was work.
At the end of that video, it felt like work. It was like, oh my God, because I built a studio in my basement. So if you watch that, it's completely green screen.
I'm jealous of it.
There's like 30 cameras. There's like 5 lights. You get down you go down the rabbit hole of YouTube, right? You've done this before with like all sorts of shit.
Yes.
You're watching like lighting and videos. You're watching like how to do product videos, and all of a sudden you're on Amazon, and the next thing you know, it's kind of like when you're on a diet and you eat a whole pint of ice cream. It was like, why did I spend all this money?
I know.
And all of a sudden, the freaking UPS guy is coming. He's dropping off these huge boxes. My like, what the hell's going on? I'm downstairs. I got a hammer out. I'm clanking things. All of a sudden, there's all these lights. I'm like, I need power strips.
Tools.
I don't have enough. Yeah. I don't have enough electricity to power all this shit. So it was crazy. But literally, I mean, I'm glad I got it done. But I've realized by watching analytics that we got to kind of compress this. And I know we talked about this a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a little different because you can listen to it in your car. You could do Apple Podcasts. But if you're watching a video on a topic, you don't want like something like almost 3/4 of a movie.
Yeah.
On something.
Should cut a lot of that out. Probably hard to though.
I couldn't figure it out. I figured it out. So I'm just gonna, or you do an unboxing, you do a quick about video, and then you do some benchmarks.
See, I figured they
3 videos out of one thing, which I try to tackle it all in one big video.
See, I feel like when I think about going back and looking at unboxings, they unbox it, they give a quick review of what the unboxing's like, and then at the end they do a couple slides of performance, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So it's like 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's tough. But hey, you're learning. I'm learning. We're learning. These are things I've never done before. Yeah. So progression on that. But it is actually a good video. You should watch it. And I was generally jealous of his studio because I do have things I want to unbox. But you're gonna have to look at the back of you're gonna look at my desk mat on my desk because I don't have. I live in a good sized apartment, but not one to have a studio in it. And if I start pulling power tools out, I'm gonna be in trouble. So,
with your wife or with the landlord or
above D.
Yes.
So, but yeah, no, it was a good video, and I kind of was actually interested in buying one. Other than typically when I go for business, I don't have time to play games. By the time I get back to the hotel room, I'm like, I watch a video and then I'm sucking my pillow into my mouth. So,
right.
Yeah.
But I just also want to talk about really quickly about I think Gears of War.
Okay.
If you're an Xbox fan, it's for PC.
I've never played Gears
because it's Microsoft. I've played some of them; they're pretty good.
I've
Gears
heard they're
of War
good.
And just recently,
the new Tomb Raider
have just announced they're going Unreal Engine 5.
Unreal has always been ahead of the curve. They have like photorealistic stuff now. It's nuts.
Have you watched any of those videos?
I have. I've actually, from my professional interests, I've watched a lot of Unreal stuff throughout the years, and they've come a long way. Some of the stuff they do is mind-blowing, and they leverage a lot of very advanced engineering techniques. And I've looked at some of the source on Unreal, and mind you, I've worked in C++ for years, and I've done a lot of complicated stuff, computer vision for manufacturing, you name it. Man, those boys know what they're doing. Those guys do some crazy stuff under the hood. Things that I'm like Googling trying to figure out exactly what's going on, and I still don't even know. So
when they're not arguing with Apple to get their own method of payment, they're making Unreal Engine 5, and that's
was it Todd Sweeney?
It's like cinematic.
Yeah,
it's cinematic appearing stuff.
Right.
I mean, so much. I mean, just the scope of what they can render and make it look real, and some of it is like AI based. I'm not sure how all of it works, but I mean, once it gets to a certain draw distance, it just kind of AI fills it all in, and it still looks really great.
It's nuts.
They have wind and all these different particle effects.
Oh yeah.
Right down to the vessels on people's eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so specific and so intricate, and I'm just like. When I watched the tech demo a couple of months back, I think it was about 6-7 months ago when they announced it, I was like, I can't wait to see what they make. And now you're starting to see the game like IDOS and it makes Tomb Raider. I mean, you're looking at these companies who are coming out and they're actually now using the engine to make their latest games. I mean, I think it's a lot of it is they're talking about like newer consoles, but I mean, it's going to work for PC just as much as it's going to work for Xbox or PlayStation 5.
Well, they have ways of manipulating.
Blown away.
Yeah, I mean, we've come so far in game engines, and just think about a photorealistic shooter game on VR. You know what I mean? And there's that guy that's got those haptic gloves now, which like when you pick stuff up, it's got little servos that pull cords on the gloves to make you feel like you're holding on to something. Right. Have you seen that? It's a Linus video. Yeah, so crazy stuff. So that'll be nuts. But I mean, we're talking about WoW earlier, right? So a lot of people on the original WoW, they really needed to cut down power performance a lot because they wanted WoW to work on old computers and modern. So like a lot of the shadows in WoW are actual just texture adjustments. They're not actual shadows. They're just a darkened texture. They did so many things in World of Warcraft, and this is why, and not to diverge, but this is why I think computer engineers of today are so spoiled. You're fucking spoiled, guys. Sorry. You Gen Z software engineers, you're spoiled as shit. You don't even know what you're getting into. Those guys had to do work to get there. And now we have photorealistic with wind and hair and, sweat pores that are, you know what I mean? Like
strands of hair.
Yeah.
Strands
it's so hair. Realistic that like people are confusing games with reality. That's scary. Elon Musk said he thinks there's a good chance that we live in a simulation. And if Unreal keeps going this route, he might be right. So,
did he know the code of the simulation to realize he was going to buy 10% of Twitter?
9%, 9.6, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Elon did it in the faith of Twitter needs to get its shit together. Sorry if you're a big Twitter person and you think it's this humble, great environment. It's not. It's literally what I imagine the old barrels in Afghanistan full of soldier shit. That's Twitter. Sorry, guys. Dark humor. But yeah,
hopefully he can. I mean, he's got to be on the board as 10% owner of the company.
They brought him in.
Right?
They brought him. He's the largest shareholder, single largest shareholder.
So he's going to have a lot of voting rights, and he's going to have a lot of influence. So we need somebody like Musk to.
He wants to push
and just do some crazy
free
shit.
Speech. He's pushing free speech, and I'm I'll tell you what, my wife and I don't argue very often, but one of our most heated arguments is my wife goes, I don't really like Elon Musk. And I was like, excuse me, why? And we had this hour-long debate about how he's not done anything for society. And I'm like, do you know what it means to build a reusable rocket for space?
It lands on its own.
It lands on its own. You know how much rockets cost? The fact that we're going to reuse it? But I'm nerdy like that, and bless my wife. She's a social worker, care worker, hospital administrator, whatever. Everything under the sun. She loves people. So technology to her, she respects it, but she wants to see people benefit. And it's hard to see the benefit from space at this moment. However, my nerdy ass is like, are you kidding me? Papa Elon? This man, be dad, please. Let me have some of that Elon money.
This guy freaking launched his first coupe into space with a fake astronaut holding the wheel.
My God.
Who the hell knows where it is? It's probably past Jupiter by now.
The dude made flamethrowers, which are not regulated by the ATF. Please don't regulate them. This guy is on top of it. So, but yeah, anyways, Unreal 5, crazy. And for those who want a taste of what Unreal's capable of, you should get Death Stranding. I haven't played it, but it uses a lot of modern Unreal technology, and it's a beautiful game. So
I actually got a free copy of it. When I got my 3090.
Give me the code. Give me the code.
I know I already cashed it in. It's on Steam. It's downloaded. I've never played it.
It's a hard game. It's not that. It's story driven.
Where you're just carrying packages from point A to point B.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched a guy play through it, and I really couldn't figure it out. Please don't pull my thing off.
It has Elden Ring kind of vibes because people can leave notes for people. That's like the multiplayer aspect. I saw
There's
that.
no
So
like
you
real
can
combat.
No, I don't think
not
so.
a lot of it, or at least it's very minimal.
You're basically an intergalactic mailman.
Yeah, you're
balance. You're like the pizza delivery guy.
If I remember correctly, you're like trying to connect.
Pizzas.
Yeah, humanity ended because of some sort of like dimensional rip, and you have to. To me, it looked like a shooter horror game at first. It's like top end horror game, and I love Riemann. What's his name? Norman Reedus. Norman Reedus. The actor. I really liked him. He's a great actor. Yeah. Then I watched, and it's made by what's that Del Toro guy or whatever his name, makes all the horror movies. He actually voice acts in the game. And I don't know. I was like, I love the story and I thought it was great. It's just I don't know if I could play it. I might buy it just to check it. Maybe I'll try it. Guys.
I don't want to throw it under the bus. So let's we have it. Maybe we can talk about it. After
we'll check it out another time.
Right.
But yeah, so check it out. It's pretty cool. Unreal 5. I watch a YouTube video on it. We can't express the photorealistic on that.
Right. So you know what dropped today?
What? Oh, the Diablo video.
Our Diablo 2.
Yes.
Episode 1.
Yes.
Yes. That game was
fun. Yes. And guys, I want to say right now, I just want a little disclaimer. I'm new to the Let's Play, so I'm like trying to come up with quirky, funny things to talk about, and I end up being super cringy. So I'm sorry. I don't actually believe that. I don't believe that stuff. I don't actually think those things. I thought it'd be cool. And I went back and watched a video and I was like, I should choke myself with a plastic bag. So, but no, the game is a ton of fun. And it brought me back a lot of childhood memories. And when you told me you could hit the button to switch to the old one, I was like, I don't remember the game looking like this. I remember it looking like what we're playing right now, which just shows you.
Right.
This shows you how
how far things came.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I recommend it. I've got a lot of bad reviews for the cost, but you should get it. If you like Diablo, you should get it.
I mean, I see where. I mean, it took me a while, and even when I wrote the description of the video, I'm like, I'm not sure why Blizzard decided to do this. But when I think about it now, I mean, you're looking at a 20-some-year-old game, right? And and a large amount of people who are very into video games have never even touched Diablo 2 in their life.
Right.
So now, basically, you're like, hey, this is a great story. It had great reviews.
Right.
The new generation is not going to be able to get past the graphics, so we got to fix that.
Right.
And now, but we have a great graphic game with a story that won awards, and pay $40 for it.
It's worth it. It really is, because if you play the old game, the new one is mind-blowingly different. And I recommend it, and it brings back a lot of memories. And to play on the cringe, you used to get, your little character followed you, the female character followed you around. Well, now you got her in a higher quality pixel 3D. So emphasizing on the cringe, you get a little extra out of it. No, the game is a ton of fun. The combat's fun. Diablo has always been a great game. It's very story driven, and I love the environments. I'll never forget when you went into the monastery in episode 2 and you're like, oh, okay. It's just dead people and everything everywhere. And you're like, anytime there's demons in a church, we know the world's flipped over. There's a problem.
It's a bad situation. Yeah. Things are bad.
And the first video, the intro video, I remember that video like it was yesterday, and they did such a good job remaking it. And Blizzard's always been good at making those 3D videos. So this new one was it was great. I got goosebumps thinking about it. Please get the. I
do too. I was a little bit skeptical because I'm like, oh, this is a money grab. This is like just somebody trying to like capitalize on it. But I mean, it's true. I mean, right? Yep. But I mean, but people who love video games deserve to experience that game because that's like a pivotal game in the history of video games.
Diablo
1 was pretty good.
Yeah, Diablo 1 was great. Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they did that eventually, but it's odd that they wouldn't start there. But for some reason, they didn't start there.
I think Diablo 2 was a bigger hitter at the time.
Absolutely. Definitely a bigger hitter. So, I mean, it was a great game. You don't need to play Diablo 1 to play Diablo 2. It's just,
Guys, get it.
It's a classic dungeon crawl.
For our Gen Z followers, if we have any, by the way, I appreciate you for being an old soul. But if you haven't played Diablo 2, if you've only played Diablo 3, I'm sorry, please get Diablo 2. Diablo 3 is a crap game. Diablo compared to Diablo 2 It's so detailed. The world is so detailed.
Why?
The demons are detailed. Diablo
Why
3?
did you hate Diablo 3 so much? I thought it was fun.
It felt like a kid's game to me. It didn't feel the gritty, angry, dirty. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, not the reference to cringe. Not the reference to cringe. And I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to be funny and it came out cringy. But the reference to cringe, you had like these demon women with you were just in your shit. There was like turned over churches and blood everywhere. The last boss, Andario, whatever, she looks like the chick from Total Recon or whatever that movie is. It was just, It was great. And the Diablo 3 is like, oh, here you go. It's 3D and all the classes are restricted and half of it's magic. I don't know. Diablo 2 is a better game. It was dark.
Well, we'll see how Diablo 4 is, right?
I gotta hope.
I mean,
I don't know, man, because with them, it's just, I feel like modern games are not as dark as they used to be. Remember Castle Wolfenstein? Sure, the game's old, but I mean, like, you were shooting Nazis and they were like, my life! You know what I mean?
Right.
Watching people get torn up by devices and stuff. They just don't make them like they used to.
Yeah, well, that's a societal issue. And that's a story for another podcast.
That's a whole podcast.
Right. That's an hour and a half alone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, everybody is no one is safe.
No.
From society and situations like that. So, but I mean,
but get a taste of it, Diablo 2. Yeah. No, I'm excited for I hope they fix 4.
Buy it.
I will buy 4. We'll play it. I'm sure we'll do a Let's Play, guys. I'm sure we'll do a Let's Play of 4. I love Diablo. I've been a Diablo fan forever. I bought that game, played on an old computer. When I got that game, it had like 6 CDs or something ridiculous. Like every act was a CD and the cinema CD.
Right.
You know, and
I actually found a bunch of CD-ROMs in my basement. So I have Half-Life. I have Diablo. I have Diablo 2. I have Baldur's Gate.
I have
that. Star Wars
Galaxies. Baldur's Gate. I have Galaxies. It's not here. It's actually in my shelf in my closet. But yeah, I do have my games. Galaxy CD. Yeah. I have an Age of Empires CD floating around somewhere. But yes, it's worth the money, honestly. And Doc, you know, I know we do a lot of things for content and fun, and they're always fun. Everything we do is fun. But I've really enjoyed our Diablo 2. I thoroughly enjoyed our Diablo 2 time. So I need to fix my video because apparently it's broken, and it is. I need to figure out what's going on. But we will get episode 2 out as soon as possible. So.
I actually I was on the treadmill today, and I was
You're healthier
watching.
than I am.
I was trying. I was watching our video, and I'm like, I can't wait to play the next part of this.
Yeah, we're almost Act 2. We're almost Act 2.
We're in the barracks. We're in the barracks, and
going down to kill the boss, first act boss.
And we got the hammer.
Yep.
And we ended it there. And I know you guys haven't seen that yet, but I mean, that's how the game goes. Everybody has to get the hammer. That's how you progress. But it was a lot of fun, and it was you know, it's just a nice feeling to say like, hey man, I want to do this, and it's
fantastic.
And it's just, and it's a great game.
I'm not gonna lie, I've sat here a couple times like I'm just gonna play it. I'm just gonna play a new character, but
So did I. And then I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
I want to have the enjoyment when we're together. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
Exactly.
But we will get. Actually, we need to record the 3rd episode here soon, because having the backdraft videos is where it's at. And if this video I have is too broken, then you may only get Doc's version. But we will make sure episode 3 is solid. So,
cool.
Anyways, what do we got next? Oh, I have something, and I'm sorry to shake my can by smack my desk.
That's okay.
I've been trying to get into some TV shows. I'm not a big TV guy, but I'm trying to get some TV shows with the wife to spend time with her, because my wife loves TV. Bless her heart. We came across this documentary. So my wife listened to the audiobook or the podcast first, some Crime Junkies podcast or whatever it is. And then we watched the documentary online about this guy named Dr. Death. I don't remember his name. Something Dutch douche.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I watched the documentary and I was blown away by what this man did, because, and for you guys who don't know, Doc is harassed by me on the day-to-day basis with the dumbest medical questions. Like, Doc, I drank soap on accident, and then I had, slowly after that, I had like a Tums. Am I going to die? Is it going to make a pipe bomb in my stomach? You know, just stupid. What do you call this? Hey, I'm watching this movie. You get shot in the stomach. Are you going to survive? You know, like, poor guy. But I have, you know, before I met my wife, I never was a doctor guy. I didn't really believe in them. When I met my wife and I met her family, who all work in the medical field, and her brother-in-law who's becoming a neurosurgeon, bless his heart. You hear me, Mitch? You got the ego for
like
it. Like
Dr. Death.
Yeah, well, except this man actually cares about people.
Right.
I've never doubted doctors. Now I know malpractice is a thing, but I get it. In a field of specializations, we make mistakes because no matter what, there's always something to learn, and we don't know everything that's possible. You find it out. And I feel like people don't realize that. So I've always had the highest faith in my medical doctors. Plus, I've had the luxury of having great hospitals in Colorado. We have great hospitals here. And I've had great doctors and great surgeons because I've had a couple surgeons over the years. And I never thought about that. But then watching this guy do what he does, I was blown away to the point where, like, and by the way, guys, my medical training is limited to the military. So, like, I know to, like, tape some plastic over your chest for a sucking chest wound, and I can, like, give you ibuprofen. Not much,
right?
But neurospinal surgery, that blows my mind because all you do is screw up one bit, and all of a sudden that man doesn't have legs, or arms, or everything underneath. So, but this guy was so bad at it. I was like, babe, you can watch YouTube videos of how to do this, where they have like a 4K GoPro, and the guy's doing the surgery in front of you, and they're annotating everything. You're like, holy cow, I could do this if I follow this guy's spinal surgery tutorial. What a time we live in. I couldn't, for real, but better than him. I was blown away. So we're going to have Doc, Doc's not a spinal surgeon. I respect that. He's an ER doctor. But with that being said, you're the, what do they say? Knower of all, master of none. What is, I know ER medicine. You're the master of ER medicine.
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades.
So, I mean, from what I know, and I don't know a lot because I'll be honest with you, when you work in the medical field all day, the last thing you want to do is watch TV about medicine, right?
Respect.
So I don't really watch the stuff. I never watched ER.
Right.
I never watched Scrubs. I never watched
Can we hold on, time out. Can we watch your episode? Can we do a react to that?
Yeah, we should do that.
We should do that.
Anyway, I did an episode of Untold Stories of the ER back in the day.
We're gonna do your
but it was, for what I do know, I mean, the guy apparently went to I think a seemingly prestigious training program. I know that there were drugs.
Memphis.
There were cocaine. Drugs involved.
A lot of cocaine, LSD.
I think LSD as well. Yeah, and I think that he ended up making a lot of bad choices that may have been drug related. And then on top of that,
manic.
Like I don't know if the drugs caused him to do the type of surgeries he did. I mean, I doubt he would be able to get through the program in his training because neurosurgery is like one of the longest residencies there are.
Yes.
So I don't know if he got through the program and then drugs messed it up later.
They explain some of it in the show, and you should watch it. You should watch it with You should watch it with the wife because I bet you she would actually find it interesting. Because I recommend watching the TV series more than the documentary because it's got like Alec Baldwin in it and some other like actors. It makes it worthwhile. It's good. It's well told. But
I heard he put like screws when we put in screws into bone, it's basically to bring the edges of a bone together, and that's basically whether or not it's broken or whether or not you have to break it to get into a certain area and then mend it. But I mean, I understand like there were screws that weren't even into the bone. They were just like into muscle and stuff like that. So I'm not sure how you make that kind of error.
He pulls a piece of a dude's esophagus out and thinks it's cancer. So, and the thing is he's a very smart guy, and I hate to say something positive about such an evil person. He's a very smart guy. I can't tell, and even after watching the documentary, I'm split between he was a manic murderer who knew in his position that he could kill people through the art of whatever he was doing, or if he had some inabilities masked around intelligence and sociopathic tendencies where he could talk everything up, but when it comes down to doing the actual job, because I've had, and this is not anywhere close, and I know that, but I've had computer engineers come in who are like, I got a PhD in computer science, I got a minor in math, and I'm like, dang bro, you're a smart dude. And you get him out and you start watching him program, you're like, what are you doing? I mean, you can talk theory around me in circles, but when it comes down to doing actual work, you're incompetent. So I don't know. We're gonna do a reaction video.
But and we will. But it's hard to do that because when you're training, I mean, you're doing this stuff.
Well, there's some business
a very competent physician.
Watch the video watch this TV show and maybe the reaction video. I'll break it out to you, but I think you should watch it because it kind of shows how he may have slipped through the cracks, and how the schools in the hospital should have reported them, but they didn't. And it drives my wife crazy as a hospital administrator who's on the council for patient safety and hospital awareness and all that kind of stuff. She was like, ah! the whole time, because, and love you, doc, but doctors, they're gods among men, and is a field in STEM. We're also gods among men. Just putting that out there. I'm very emotional at work. She was so upset because their job is to manage a lot of that, because patients at the end of the day deserve the best care no matter what. What do they call it? The Hippocratic Oath? Yeah.
Do no harm.
Do no harm.
Right.
So, and of course I was messaging you. I was like, can you tackle him in the room? Can you beat him up? And you're like, no.
Yeah. Not very easily. You can't, it's very difficult to stop things. I mean, you may have to get like hospital administration involved or possibly the police involved.
That's what should have happened.
I've never been in a situation like that before where I found something so
you care about your
egregious
patients.
Well, I mean, you also see other physicians working. I've never had anybody I'm like, oh my God, this is a bad situation. So, I think that most doctors, obviously, just about all doctors, obviously want to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing by their patients. There are things that keep us up at night to make sure that people are doing well and the treatment you gave is the right thing to do and that they're feeling better. And that they're going to mend. There are people in this world in any position that either don't care or get off track or get substance use disorder or whatever, and it just completely throws a wrench in the works. But the problem is that for medicine, the stakes are high. So
it's not a computer, and it's not a house.
This is not to belittle anybody else in any other field, but if I go and order some fries and the guy doesn't salt them, people aren't going to die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if I give the wrong med, the wrong drug, don't give the right med, I mean, the stakes are high. So, I mean, that's why it tends to be,
we should talk about
high stress relations.
You were talking about the wrong meds. We should talk about that nurse that got sued and lost.
Yeah. I think that there's a lot of videos on that, but the real quick thing is that I don't think it's a good precedent because I think it's going to hinder medical care in general.
People are nervous.
Exactly. People are too nervous to do things for example, sometimes if somebody goes into cardiac arrest, I don't have time to go to the computer to put the meds in.
Right.
Because the person's dying. So you need to be able to have an override.
Can you wait a second before you die? I need to Google something.
Could you go put this in the computer right now? But the issue is that, from what I understand, and I have to, brush up on it, but that nurse, I mean, even though I don't think that criminal charges are really the right way to go.
She did mess up.
That's just my own personal opinion.
She did mess up.
We have, in medicine, we have so many different processes in place to not have mistakes. For example, certain medicines have to have 2 nurses sign off on it to give it. Certain medicines have a big red cap that make it different from any other medicines. Certain medicines,
all the good ones.
So I understand that this person ended up getting a paralytic medicine, which is a medicine that you usually use to put people on a ventilator instead of a sedative. So basically, they overrid the computer, got the medicine out. The medicine was a powder, which you should inject saline into it to mix it back into a liquid, where the regular medicine that was ordered would already be a liquid. There's a red cap on it. There's a red label on it. You should put, if you're going to put a sedative, at least, in somebody who's in an MRI or a CAT scan, you probably want cardiac monitor. So I understand, all these steps failed, from what I understand. Yeah. So don't flame me if I'm getting it wrong, because I really haven't read it
I don't know
very
either.
specifically.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have 5 or 6 processes that should make you stop and scratch your head and say, wait a minute, something's not right here, and you miss every one of them,
right,
and then someone dies, you're incompetent.
Well, do you think maybe it's the hospital's rules?
Are you well, I mean, I heard that some of the things were very difficult to get out, and they had to sometimes there's cultures where a hospital may have a process or something that is very lengthy and it doesn't work for the department, and the hospital will never do something about it. So people develop these workarounds, which are not
great,
condoned by the hospital. And they get these workarounds, and it works like 95% of the time. Oh, look at how much better the situation is. But then
you get somebody who gets powdered.
Somebody gets like the completely wrong medicine and dies, and they're going to say, "Well, you didn't follow the process," and now someone's dead. So the point is, yeah. So I mean, I don't know all the definitive specifics about it, but all I know is that it seemed like there were a lot of different steps where this person's brain should have clicked off and said, wait a minute, this isn't typical. And I understand that this person was a relatively seasoned nurse.
Maybe
this person, so like, for example, if you give Valium all the time and it's a liquid, and you pull out the medicine and it's a powder, and you have to inject saline into it to mix it, and you never had to do that before, wouldn't you maybe stop and say, wait a minute, this is different?
Yeah.
If there's a red cap on it and there's a big label on it, this is paralytic, and you ignore it, like, it's just, there's a lot of steps that were ignored. So then basically, I guess people had to think, well, was this done on purpose? Because if you have like 5 stopgaps,
how could you do that though?
To not have that error go through?
Yeah.
And yet you break through all of them and the error goes through? I guess.
Yeah, that comes criminal. That seems criminal.
Lawyers may say, like, maybe this person like was mad and like mad at the world and wanted to hurt somebody. I mean, I don't know her. I don't know the situation that well.
Well, I was thinking,
but I could see them assuming these things.
Right. I was thinking maybe because I from my experience, I've had a lot of adrenaline in my life, and I manage adrenaline very well. My wife, for example, does not. Like car accidents or something's in danger, I can just see her heart pumping through her throat, right? But I've had a lot of adrenaline, so adrenaline is not something new to me. And even though I feel it, it doesn't get to me as much. I can make calm phone calls. I can keep my shit together. You listen to somebody who's played Tarkov for the first time who doesn't have any adrenaline control, they sound like they're literally in combat. So I was, they're like, ah! We have a buddy Joe we play with. Man loses it. Love you, Joe. Man loses in Tarkov. He's like, I get so anxious. So I thought maybe she has adrenaline, because adrenaline will make you do a lot of stupid stuff without thinking, because you are more concerned. You tunnel vision. People tunnel vision or adrenaline. They tunnel vision on the problem or the attacker or whatever is in front of them, and they're not. The peripheral is gone, and that kills you in combat. That makes you make mistakes. That's why you get in car accidents. It screws everything up for everybody. You know what I mean? They say that the man with adrenaline with no plan is a dead man. Okay, the man with adrenaline with a plan is the man who lives. So I thought maybe she had an adrenaline issue, because I heard the guy was dying or whatever. But if she's a seasoned nurse, there's no excuse. This shouldn't be your first rodeo then. You know what I mean? So
that's
I don't know.
I think, but
we diverted there for a bit. But we will do a video on it, or we'll bring it up next podcast, because I want to do some research. So
you got to be more prepared on talk.
I know,
because these are high sensitive topics, right? Because
they are.
We're talking about things that like either set new precedents or the whole world is behind. We're not even going to talk about the Will Smith slap today, because we can't have too many high. I
heard you said with Margot Robbie. So
we don't want to trigger anybody too much in one video, right? But I mean, but I mean that there are these high stake or very big socially focused issues that you have to be really careful how you talk, and you got to be educated. Yes. And I think we brushed on that in a previous podcast. We talked about the war. Do your research. Cut some of that out. Know what you're talking about. Did you? But I mean, do your research, know what you're talking about, and speak intelligently. And just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you're wrong. Just because something makes you feel a certain way, doesn't mean you're wrong either.
Or right. Yeah. But yeah, we'll do some research on this. So Dr. Death, look out for the reaction video. I've already started processing clips for Doc here to go through. I just want to say,
I'm not going to hear it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it thrown at me, and I've just got to react.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to do research. I'm like, the fuck you are. I want you to go in this dry. I want you to know what's coming up. Raw and all the way. So we're going to do that. And I'm actually going to, put some clips together. Now, mind you guys, I am by no means a medical professional. So, I don't know if Doc's right or wrong or whatever, but he's not a neurosurgeon, so disclaimer.
Right.
But he's a very brilliant man, and so I think it's great. And then, I think to piggy off that, I still want to do the Tarkov healing, because we have all those crazy injectors with weird chemicals, and There's like no way this makes you stronger. If it does, can we?
I guarantee you that chapstick and lip balm does not help in the real world like it does in Tarkov.
Yeah, the Star Bomb from Vietnam does not give you a contusion or a concussion or whatever it is for 6 seconds, and then makes you imperial the pain. But
and
yeah,
if
so
it
Doctor,
does, I've got to do some more research.
Yeah, we need to talk to the Vietnam people who made lip balm because they're doing something right. It's illegal in the States.
Didn't somebody make a real lip balm of that exact type?
Oh, it's a real lip balm already. You should talk to Dak. Okay. You should talk to Dak because he's a first-born generation American. His whole family's from Vietnam. On the American side, by the way, for you vets who may be watching. And it's funny because, not to divert, but his family doesn't like the other side of Vietnam, who was against America. It's really weird. There's like an internal culture difference. But that Golden Star Bomb lip balm or whatever is actually real. It's a real lip balm that you can buy in Vietnam. Yeah. So, but yeah, so Dr. Death, we're going to do that soon. I'm getting that together now. So expect that maybe in a week or so. A lot of it, we've been super busy with work. I've been busy with work, and Doc and I have to dial in times. But we're getting stuff out to you. So look forward to that. Another thing I want to talk about, because I care about our viewers and I care about our content. So I'm constantly looking at potentials, and I almost hurts me to say this, and maybe we should bring Glenn into the fold. But I'm thinking DayZ.
Oh, that would be a good idea. I was actually going to say that with Diablo, but I mean, DayZ actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Glenn's a little young. I don't know if Diablo is his thing, but
yeah. I mean another player.
Yeah. No, DayZ I think would be worth it. So here's my reasoning behind that. I'm just putting that out now because DayZ is a pretty dead game for the most part, and everybody hates it because they ruined it. However, I've been playing DayZ since it was Arma 2. Okay, I've got a long history on DayZ, and I bought it when it came out in alpha, and it was so broken, and I could wait 4 years, almost 5 years or whatever it was before they made any progress on the game. They should have been sued, and I think they were at some points. But the thing is DayZ's got a lot of fond memories, and for some of us older gamers, DayZ was huge for us, and it was the original open world zombie survival game. Now, I don't know when it's coming out. I don't know when we're going to work on it. So this is just an idea, but we're trying to figure out if we want to do general DayZ, generic vanilla DayZ, which is painfully boring and hard, or if we're going to do a modded server with some fun features. I don't know. We're going to figure it out. But either way, let us know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has an opinion on that, please let us know. I mean, DayZ, I met most of you guys in DayZ. I remember that. So, like, that was the game we were playing, and I was like, oh my God. Like,
Breaking Point.
We talk about this a lot, but I mean, games are interesting because they're a balance between, at times, reality and fun, and you have to have a good balance of that.
Yeah.
And we talk about this with Tarkov. Like, how much reality do you need? Like, do I really need? Does my gun really need to jam every so many clips? Does that add?
Right.
Does that add to
the
fun?
You need to melt off the gun. Is that really important? Yeah, I get you.
Right. So, but DayZ was like that too. And DayZ, there's a lot of dying by starvation. If you haven't played it, there's a lot of dying by, like if you eat something bad. I mean, so there's this realism.
It causes dehydration.
Right. Yeah. There's this realism piece of it, but in the same respect, there's fun because you're on edge.
And the world's huge.
And it's a huge world. Basically, everybody's an enemy until proven otherwise. You have zombies, which in the beginning were very hard to hit because of the dynamics and the way the game was. It was you would swing and miss everybody, and they fixed that. I assume fixed most of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, playing with other people, a lot of mind games.
Yep.
I'm friendly. Okay, are they really friendly? Are they going to shoot
like
me?
Tarkov
you have that in Tarkov.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that in Tarkov with scavs a lot. But I mean, now if you shoot a scav, like it hurts your stats. So
I mean, like we convinced
got rid of that a bit.
We would convince guys we'd get guys pinned in rooms and convince them to come out, and they're like, I just need to do a mission. Let them do the mission, like shoot them in the back of the head as they're walking down the stairs. So like it's horrible evil. Only time you can be a sociopath is in a video game. I remember DayZ though, because after a couple, I think it was Axel, we bum rushed a dude, we hogtied him, and I forced him to eat apples that were injected with bleach or something like that. And he's like sitting there vomiting, and then he dies with his handcuffs. It's super dark and it's messed up, but it's DayZ. Like that was what you did. You know what I mean?
See,
sorry. Go ahead.
The whole sandbox nature of that is what makes it fun.
You could force feed people. Come on, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you could do like a lot of really weird, crazy crap. And I mean, there's a lot of people who do a lot of YouTube videos, kind of like Red versus Blue with Halo. I mean, but they do it with DayZ. I mean, 1.16 came out in February, so that was a little while ago. But basically, I mean, cookware now. Let's see, cookware can receive damage, also damage to pots and pans.
What a great
update. That's fun. Gas masks are no longer ruined when depleted, can be refilled with charcoal tablets. So I don't know, there's a lot of little tweaking, but I mean, we're not even on DayZ 2.0, we're on DayZ 1.17. So for how long DayZ has been,
I think we're gonna get the Livonia
RTM.
I'm gonna make us get
I have it. I have Livonia.
I'm gonna buy it.
So I'm interested because we really haven't seen what's happened to that game, so there's a freshness to that.
Yeah, I'm interested in it. I'm interested to see what's going on. It's actually got quite a bit of positive reviews now, which back in the day it was not very well liked.
DayZ in general?
Yeah, it's got right now. DayZ's got very positive for recent reviews, and all reviews are mostly positive. So,
wow, how about that?
Yeah, and as Doc says, how about that? Yeah, Glenn will play, and we need him, to be honest, because he knows way more about it. So it looks like they have an experiment update coming out, and they got a bunch of fixes coming, and I'll have to do some research on this. But I'm actually really excited to try it. They added some controller support, and they've done some inventory changes, but really we're trying to find something to fill in until the other game comes out, which I know is going to be a lot of fun. So
yeah,
which I forget the name of
day after
now.
Or whatever it is.
The day after, yes, the day after.
So were you ever part of DayZ when they got vehicles working?
Yes, it was, and
God.
it's still very broken. We like fly in the air, and Arma, you died more from stairs than anything else.
Yeah, just getting the vehicle working, you had to find all the parts,
right?
And then there was enough coolant in the car, so you had to get water. You had to dump
Batteries
water in the coolant.
Stuff.
You needed a battery, and then I mean, remember one time Glenn and I got a working, I don't know if it was a bus or some sort of vehicle, some sort of military vehicle.
Oh, okay.
But we drove it around and we were trying to run people over. It was like a lot of fun, but it took us almost a whole day to just at the time gather the parts, not die.
Yeah.
And then and then the worst part about DayZ, and I don't know if they fix this, but like when you die, you could be on the other side of the continent.
Yep.
And it is so much of a drag to try to get back to where you were.
Yeah.
That part is rough.
It sucks. So yeah, we're gonna give that a shot. I think you and I should play it first and see how we feel.
Right.
But look forward to that. So DayZ potential coming. I'm actually kind of excited.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
But the day before, it's called the day before, by the way, not the day after.
The day after.
I'm really excited for that.
Hey, devs.
Yeah.
I'm looking at
I know you're not listening, but if you're listening, please let me just play. Let me just play for a minute. You know what I mean? I won't tell anybody.
Yeah.
I
want to.
But yeah. So look out for DayZ. We need to think about some other games too. So keep those in mind. How do you guys feel about maybe a Civ? I know a lot of us older guys grew up with Civ. Doc and I thought about playing Civ. I know it's a bit of a slower game, but it could be a lot of fun.
We can do it. We can do it.
We should get Axel on that, or Glenn. Any of those guys would be funny.
They
Axel's
like
my favorite.
as well.
He plays China every time. It's amazing. It's amazing. You know how animated Big Boy is. But yeah. So, anyways, what do we got? What do we got going on next? What do we got next? Let me look at our list.
This is all you.
Yeah, it's all me. So, I'm at that point in my life where I wanted something fun and exciting. It's not a midlife crisis because it's not a Corvette. Sorry, Doc.
You have too much hair for that. Yeah,
I got to. There's no balding in my family, but nonetheless, yeah, not a midlife crisis yet. However, I've been wanting a motorcycle for years. I had a couple motorcycles growing up. A lot of dirt bike riding in my life. ATVs, ski-doos, jet skis, you name it. I've been on motor vehicles most of my life, some sort of motor power vehicle. My first bike was a Sim 50. I had a couple of liter bikes throughout not very, very long. And then never had them again because just they're expensive. And when you have family and you have, ladies and relationships and debt and everything else under the sun and having to survive in the world, the motorcycle last thing on your list for things you want to do. However, I decided the other day, as a grown man, as a successful man, I'm going to buy one. So I bought a 2022 Ducati Panigale. I think it's Panigale. Panigale, something like that. It's Italian, and I should know better because I'm 20% thanks ancestry. Panigale V4S.
So you didn't buy a Harley?
Sport bike. No, and I looked at Harleys.
You didn't buy an Indian.
I thought I looked at Indians too.
Kawasaki. You didn't buy a Honda.
I don't like Honda. I don't like Kawasaki. So I started off with a Suzuki GSXR 750, and then I had a GSXR 1000, and I've always been a Suzuki guy. I almost bought another Suzuki. However, I thought, you know what? I'm an older guy now. I respect these bikes already. I respect them even more. And I'm looking for something that just looks good and feels good. I know they're not the most comfortable. For some of you guys that might be watching like motorcycle guys, you're like, wow, that's a track bike. Well, I'm actually interested in doing track work. I need something to put my focus on. I'm selling my truck, and which I decided after. It wasn't for financial reasons. I decided after I was going to sell it because I just don't use it as much. So anyways, I got this 2022 Ducati coming. It's coming from Italy right now. It'll be here in 30 days. I'm going to do some, I think I was called bike and banter or ride and rant. I don't know. I'll come up with some cringy name for it, but look for the Modern Boomer channel. I'm going to do, so the goal is to do full unedited clips on my channel, but I want to cut up and do some fun little like riding videos on the Modern Boomer. I live in Colorado on the northern side. It's beautiful here in the summer. You know, a lot of people don't know, but Fort Collins is what Old Town Disney's built off of, designed around.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Old Town Fort Collins. I don't live in Fort Collins to buy it, but Old Town Fort Collins is actually what Disney's Old Town is. Was you know, it's, what do you want to call it? Muse. It's inspiration, whatever. So I plan to go to the mountains. I plan to do some riding. I plan to do some reviews on the video on the bike. I'm going to do some upgrades. I got exhaust things, that kind of stuff going on. And you know, we may not continue with that stuff, but I just want to see how people feel about it. If something people enjoy, because in the day, the purpose of it is that I want to talk to you guys. I want to ride and talk to you guys. And at the same time, you know, a lot of us guys, as we get older, Harleys start looking nice. Something to do. Something that's loud, makes you feel good. So I think it'd be a good time to talk about rider safety and my knowledge and how I ride, you know, how I manage cars, things like that in my head. Now, mind you, it's been about 8 years since I've been on a bike. So there's going to be some learning curves. And I decided to buy a bike that has 215 horsepower, which is nuts. For a 390 pound bike or whatever it is.
Is there helmet laws in Colorado?
No, but I have a law to wear a helmet. I have a full suit. Actually, my suit has airbags. Did I tell you that?
No.
Yeah, it inflates. It's got impact foam. So the purpose of the foam, the suit is to try to put you. What do they call that? You're a doctor. You should know. What's that fetal position you're supposed to go in that is great for circulation? That like people try to put you in. It's like your legs are up, your arms are out. It's supposed to help, like something people get into for trauma to help.
Like when you distribute the force and you like.
No, it's like it tries to lock you in. So the way the suit works, from my understanding, is that when you hit a certain amount of impact, it shoots high canister CO2 in all these airbags and around your body, and it locks your body into position. And then there's a foam in all the joints that goes from a soft, powdery foam or whatever it is to a hard, consistent foam. So not only you have airbags, but everything locks up. And then the suit also has this metal plate or rubber plate or something that is heavier than everything else, so that when you slam down. And most people, if you ride a bike, you learn how, you need to learn how to dump your bike, which is really weird to say. It helps you slide on your back, right? It's protect you. So I think they're rated up to like 100 miles an hour. So like you can hit the ground at 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
And it'll protect you. I mean, obviously you're probably gonna have a bruise longer, you know, but it's better than nothing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So
you live.
Yeah, exactly. Away. I like my arms and I like my limbs. Right. So, but you know, with that being said, a lot of people don't realize that, but most motorcycle related deaths and accidents are the motorcyclist's fault and not so many cars. People always blame cars, but it's like 60 or 75%, or it may even be higher than that, are motorcyclists' mistakes. So I'm human, and I'm sure I will crash my $40,000 motorcycle. It's just what happens. You know, it's just life. But get insurance, do the training, do the course. Do not drive without a suit. Don't be those stupid college kids who wear flip-flops and a t-shirt, because when 30 miles an hour on the ground, your skin will not be skin anymore. So, but yeah,
don't
so I'm
be
gonna
an organ donor.
Yeah, don't be an organ, and I have it on my license. So what it be what it be.
Yeah, don't be one if you have it, unless you have to be.
Don't exercise your life insurance, I guess is right. But with that being said, I'm gonna do some videos of it. I bought a GoPro, I got some audio stuff, but I just want to talk to you guys. And I think with that being said, even though it's me on a motorcycle, I want people to comment topics or life situations or whatever's going on and just have a good conversation. And then I want to show you the countryside. I feel like we have a lot of people moving here, but people move here for all sorts of reasons, and they never get a native's view of Colorado. They only know what they see on the internet. They only know what they see from YouTube videos.
It's the weed.
Yeah, and it's not. I mean, we have good weed here, but I digress. I don't, I say that in a Colorado defense. But with that being said, I plan to, show guys around. There's a lot of really beautiful places in Colorado that nobody even knows exists. And what a better way from a nice motorcycle. I would like to call it the Lamborghini of motorcycles, the Ferrari of motorcycles. And then, try to preach some safety. So look forward to that. And I kind of extended that out longer than I should have. But yeah, I'm going to do some videos. Take some pictures. Cool. Check out the Instagram, check my Twitter, things like that.
What are your names for that?
What do you mean? Say that again. What am I?
You had some names for it at the beginning. It was going to be like
bike and banter or ride and rant. I don't know. I'll come up with something.
Could be Dame Motorcycle.
Yeah, I'll come up with something. I just want to talk to her. I think it'd be fun. And I've watched a lot of motorcycle vloggers throughout the years, and they, some of them are cool, some are memey, some of them only talk about bikes. I want to talk about everything. I don't care if we talk about gas prices. We could talk about the fact that Docs uses an Arctic 7 headset and not a standalone microphone. We can talk about whatever. So
I have a standalone microphone.
You're not using it. You're not using it.
I am using it.
Are you?
This is just for you.
Oh.
You hear me through this. Everything is recorded through that.
Well, let me hear you through that. Well, anyways, nonetheless, we'll have some good talks. And for you guys who want a motorcycle but can't, I will drive everywhere you want. We'll give you a good first view. And that way you can crash with me without the pain. So, and I pay for the insurance. So you're welcome. It's not cheap.
That'd be interesting. I got just like you're getting into motorcycles. When I got my Jeep, I had an Audi sports car before that.
I wanted Audi
nice
for a long time. I almost bought an Audi. I
had massage seats in my car. That was pretty cool. So I got a Jeep, right? Because I needed to be able, like, when you're an ER doctor, like, you can't not go to work. You can't be like, oh, it's too snowy. Oh, well, I'm not going to be there. Like, that's just not an option.
You better get on a snowmobile and get to work.
Right. And I've known nurses who have actually, like EMS with their ambulance with chains on the tires, have actually gone to houses to pick people up because they're just completely snowed in. But as docs, like, they'll tell you, hey, like, come into the hospital and stay in the hospital the day before because you need to work the next day and it's going to snow all night long and you need to be here. Right. But, with me, I have like an hour drive. So I went with the Jeep. But I mean, I got really into I got like the refrigerator that can go in the back of the Jeep that plugs into the
jerry
cigarette
cans.
suck.
Yeah.
I got a portable fire pit that doubles as a grill. And I have like all these cool things, and I've watched some of the videos. You reminded me of them when you talk about these people on YouTube. These people who like drive their car up to the top of some mountainside alone in the middle of a snowstorm and set up like a camp based on their Jeep. And
it's
they're
fun,
like
though.
grilling outside. Yeah, but it's fun because you're not the one like sitting there in like sub-zero weather hoping that a bear doesn't come and eat you.
Yeah, but I mean, I enjoy like my truck. My truck's been a little bit abandoned now. Sorry, Tachanka, which is what I named it. And it's a big red pickup truck. It looks like Tachanka for usage players. But I mean, my tent, like I have a very fancy tent. It literally fits in my truck bed. So anytime we go camping, the tent fits in my truck bed with a mattress that's got cut off for the wheel wells. And it revolutionized camping for my wife and I because you're off the ground. There's no heat dissipation in the ground. A lot of people don't know that. When you lay on the ground, that ground soaks up all your wonderful heat.
All the heat. Yep.
We're my truck's at a 4-inch lift on 37-inch tire. So it's like a good 3.5 feet off the ground or more. Like when I walk up to it, my stomach is, I'm 6'1", so my chest is equal to the seat. When I stand next to the truck. So you're away from animals, you're away from dangers. The truck weighs 9,000 pounds, so you're away from wind and all sorts. So it's fantastic. I love that stuff. Now, driving the snow, I'm going to miss that. However, I don't know how long we're going to stay in Colorado because buying houses here are crazy. So maybe Miami, I can ride my bike year round. Who knows?
You're right.
But yeah, I get
Miami's
that.
great.
I get that. Well, yeah, and I get buying the Jeep, and Jeeps are awesome, but totally. So, but yeah, I'm gonna do some videos, some cool stuff with you guys, and it should be fun. It should be fun. And if you hate it, let me know, because people hate motorcycles. But there'll be no weaving in traffic. I'm not gonna be doing wheelies. I already did those in my past, so I don't do them. I'm not gonna do them on a bike that costs more than my wife's SUV, and you know, it's just gonna be a good, relaxing time. So,
yeah,
I said what I said. I said my piece. But anyways,
I would definitely interested in seeing stuff like that. You know, so one of the things I noticed, I know we're kind of getting near the end of what we're not going to put this to 2 hours like we did last time. There's a lot of people watching videos, but there's not as many subscribing. So, you know, please just check that button. Just please, like, guys, and subscribe.
Please.
Everybody in the world puts that little symbol in their video, you know, the like button and then the subscribe button and the bell or whatever it is. Yeah, it's over here, over there.
Whatever, yeah.
But, you know, just put it on there so that way you get some messages so you don't have to be like my friend Steve saying, hey, when's the next podcast coming out? Because your phone will tell you.
Listen,
when the next
guys,
podcast is coming out.
We're here for you. I mean, Doc and I enjoy doing this, and we're good friends. So we enjoy hanging out with each other, and that's a great thing. But at the end of the day, we're here for you, and we're not going to try to sell you stuff. Not yet, at least, unless, you know, somebody comes around and offers us, you know, if Ducati wants to give me another bike and I preach them, sorry boys, I'm giving an ad. But nonetheless, I digress. You know, we're here for you. We want to do content for you guys, and we come up with topics we think are good to you guys. So subscribe, check us out, hang out. You know, we're shotgunning things right now. We're in this baby infant stage. We need you guys to tell us what you want, because if you don't want me rambling on a motorcycle, I won't ramble on a motorcycle. I'll put that somewhere else. That's no beef to me. I want to make you guys I want the dads who can't play games and the career guys who have no time for fun, you know, and everybody in between, the Gen Z who hate their generation. Tell us what you want and we'll make it happen within our means. I promise. So, but you got to subscribe so you know what's coming out.
We're not going to Dubai, at least not yet. But I mean,
not yet.
We'll do whatever we can within our means.
We're gonna go gambling at some point. Who knows? Yeah, we'll see Axel in Turkey. But
that'll be fun.
That would be a great video, by the way. Just the trip from your angle, from leaving Jersey, my angle from Colorado, coming to Istanbul. You know, the whole travel up there, everything like that, and all the hookah bars. We should do that. We should look into making that happen. So
we should.
Big Boy would love that. I would see him crying, and he's not a crier. So
he said he's not coming back for at least another 2 years, I believe.
That's why I was supposed to go out in May, but I have a business trip that kind of came in and crapped right over that plan. And then I bought a bike, and, you know, $8,000 plane ticket seems like a lot of money to try to explain to my wife after I bought a bike.
Yeah.
So, but maybe next year or the end of this year, who knows? We're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
But please subscribe so you can see that stuff. So you can see Axel yell at me after we had a couple of weird Turkish drinks in at a hookah bar. It'll be a good time. So
it will be. It's always a good time. Yeah, guys, check out the Discord if you haven't, and we'll link it at the bottom of every video. Come hang out with us, play some games with us.
We need you.
We'll have a good time.
Yes. And you guys have a great rest of the week. Whenever you're watching this, I know it's going up. That's Doc's going to do that for us. But please have a good time, good health, be kind, be caring, be loving, and we'll see you next time.
All right. See you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.